No.
What's the no?
No.
What is no?
I can't even believe
What's
you.
the matter?
A lot of things. What is even?
What is wrong with you?
Welcome to an impromptu review of 2007's Meet the Robinsons.
Okay.
If you're joining us, it is assumed you have seen it or you're okay being spoiled. But let me tell you guys, you're not. What is this shit? You were drunk and you said...
No, I was not drunk. We were. It's our anniversary, by the way. At least it was yesterday.
Oh my god.
And so we went out for a nice dinner, and we were like, let's go watch a movie. What movie you want to watch?
I don't want to think too hard. I don't want to do Schindler's List.
Yeah, and so he was just scrolling through, and he's like, hey, have you ever seen Meet the Robinsons? I was like, I have. It's been a while. It's way better than it has any right to be. Let's give it a try.
I was like, no, you're lying. You like to say that about a lot of things. You like Brother Bear. Like,
I do like Brother Bear.
But that's
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yes, there is. This holy shit, is this movie, like, difficult to market, I guess? Because
it's difficult to market without spoiling it. It's very Cabin in the Woods.
Here's the thing, here's the thing that I see is... my first experience with this, my most recent experience, was a video Jello Apocalypse did where he ranked all the Disney movies.
I think so.
In 5 or 10 words or less.
Yeah.
And the entry for this one is, you think your family's crazy. And all the setups, all the character designs are like over the top, silly, random. There's a T-Rex on the cover. That turned me off. It seemed very much like a...
And this movie was well marketed. Like, you have no idea what's going to happen, like, through this movie. And again, I want to reiterate what John said at the opening. We assume that if you are here, you've seen the movie already.
But
please go watch it if you have not seen the movie already.
Okay,
because this is one of those movies you can't enjoy if it's spoiled for you.
Okay, never mind. Well, let's continue. One thing, I was ready to shit on the movie, and I think I still kind of did. Like, here's my complaint. Here's the immediate complaint. Animation's kind of bad.
It is. Even for 2007, it is a little behind the time.
So
it's very Jimmy Neutron-y, but a little bit more polished.
I kept calling the black-haired kid Nick from Jimmy Neutron.
Which I don't think... That's not, like, his voice actor or anything.
No. Oh, God. But, like, so the premise is a young boy is an orphan, and he loves inventing, but it's getting in the way of him being able to find a suitable family. So his science fair project that turns out to be a time machine or something.
No, it's a memory analyzer.
To figure out, where the mom is.
Yeah, he wants to see if he remembers his mom who abandoned him when he was little.
But it felt kind of like script punchy. And what that means,
I don't know what that
means is the scene in the gym, the science fair.
Yes.
They had to they were adding jokes to punch up the script to make it more full.
I
remember you saying that it was slow at first, you said, and I agree with that completely.
Yeah, John started asking, like, what's up with that? What's up with that? What is this? And I was like, dude, I remember very little of the beginning of this movie.
Yeah, he basically went in blind. That's messed up. Like, what?
The beginning of this movie, pacing-wise and joke-wise, is so different from the rest. Like, the second they go to the future, it becomes, like, a different movie.
They kind of do. Okay, so, like, there's the fat kid who wants to make a volcano out of vinegar and baking soda, and the goth girl who wants, like...
to just kill everybody with her fire ants.
Yeah, that was, like, those feel like singular jokes. But...
And then there's the girl who drops her frogs everywhere.
And the caffeine... chick who's got caffeine
judge.
and the chunky judge,
caffeine junkie judge,
and this really stereotypical gym coach, like that, like what, like that. I feel like these are really shallow jokes you're going for, and that continues because you got up to get a drink, and I knew we were looking for somebody in a bowler hat. I'm like, oh, that might end up being his dad, and then out of the corner of the room walks this guy with like a twiddly mustache and a bowler hat and just a long robe. Yeah. It's a characterization of a characterization. And he's bumbling, and most of the scenes with him kind of suck.
Yeah.
And I know we're not keeping you on to this. There's a lot of back and forth where he's trying to figure something out, and
this black-haired kid pops out of nowhere, and you're like, okay, that's weird. And then, the movie keeps going.
And I'm way on the wrong side of 10. Like, way on the wrong side of 10.
I just look over there, and you're just sitting there festering.
I am festering, because
You're like, this movie's not funny. It's poorly paced.
It's not funny. It's poorly paced. And then they meet the family, and the family is even worse.
Oh my god, no, that's my favorite part.
I know, I don't.
That's my favorite part where they're dicking around the house trying to get back to the garage.
I don't like that one bit.
It's so funny.
It's so there are a couple of good lines where they let it fast, very fast.
Yeah. Oh, they throw there's a joke a second that they just throw at you.
They're not funny, but there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
So like it gets fucked up.
Ring my doorbell. No, ring my doorbell.
That's dude. They have a weird. If they want, it's like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. If they want it to be, it feels like if they took a couple more shackles off, that would be hysterical.
Yeah.
And Dimitri and the two potted plant twins at the front of the building. If they had given them a little more free reign.
Which I just mean, like, say that sentence again. The two potted plant twins at the entrance.
If everybody had been like that.
Before you meet the squid butler.
If everybody had been like that, instead of, a meat cannon, and I like trains, and I'm a kooky grandpa. That shit is, I don't care.
I think it's funny.
It's not funny, and that.
You could be wrong, it's fine.
That is the worst thing. Well, it morphs into something else because okay, talk about spoilers. I do this thing, and I spoiled the Lake House one time. We were watching the Lake House.
No, it was Lake House. Yes, it was. You're right.
And I'm gonna spoil the Lake House here. I guess the premise of the Lake House is like, no, you gotta wait, no, shh. And then
that was another one. You can't. There's a big twist ending.
And then you 30 seconds went by, and you're like, I'm not a bitch, am I? It's like, no, it's just.
It's nothing to do with the plot of the movie. Continue.
Okay, but I'm like, I'll bet the person that I was like, oh, I'll bet the mom is actually that lady who is like the matriarch of the house. Oh my god, that's it. Like I kept coming for it, and then he gets captured. He signs up with the bad guy, and then they go, okay, we're gonna go make a thing. And it's like, this is exactly the moment where I could tell that
where the movie turns.
And here, exactly
for you
to the second. This is where the movie turns. He's like, I don't understand where I am. He's in a dark room. Allow me to shed some light on it. And he grabs the light bulb handle. And I am dead certain he's gonna fumble and cause a joke. And then it clicks without incident. I'm like, uh-oh.
Okay. And then you see they're in the old bedroom.
The old room, and it's like, so you've learned earlier that the main kid, Lewis, is the dad.
Yeah,
is Mr. Robinson.
Yeah, so the guy who kidnaps him and takes him to the future, and all of these kooky family members that you meet, the patriarch of this family
is never seen.
Is future Lewis.
Okay, and that's fucked up. And here's why: is that I get trapped. Go back. Also, it turns out the kooky old dude, the bowler hat.
The bowler hat guy with the kooky mustache is Lewis's old roommate.
Which is just a side character that, like, doesn't matter and then goes away.
Yeah, I'm not kidding you. This kid had 2 scenes. He had 2 scenes that you saw him in. And he ends up being your villain.
It's like, hey, I'm sorry I ruined your life. Are you fucking kidding me? Here's what the trappings of the genre. Here is what
trappings of the genre.
No. There's a joke.
That was the douchiest thing I'd ever heard you say.
There's a joke in your favorite scene where he's being quizzed on the family members and their relationship to one another.
Yes.
And he's like, okay, this one's my dad, and it's a silhouette. And he goes, I don't know, what does he look like? And he pauses and he goes, Tom Selleck. And I was sure they were setting up a joke where Tom Selleck has an uncredited voice role as the dad, and that was going to be the joke. I had a fridge moment because he's trying to cover up for the fact that, like...
What is a fridge moment?
It means you're not thinking about it now, but you think about it while you go to the fridge and you have an epiphany.
What? Why is that? Okay, I'm not even going to begin to ask why that is a thing.
And you're like, oh, wow, I can't believe... Like, that's what it's going to be about. It's about, like, fucking up your past mistakes. This feels... I'm sorry I'm talking so much. This feels like Back to the Future backwards. So instead of me going to fix my dad...
Yeah, he has to go back, and so, like, the timeline, the future that he went to is fine, but because he didn't stop the creepy bowler hat guy, now the future gets ruined. And that... if I can interject for a second.
Yeah.
So, John is talking a lot about this movie. I had seen this movie, like, a long time ago, thinking, like, oh, it's a Disney movie. I'll give any Disney movie a shot, because I was young and naive. And so I watched it, And, you know, at the beginning I felt very similar, but I remembered very little of this movie. The only thing I remembered was that feeling, that aha moment that you had when he pulled the light switch. I remembered that was in here, and it ended up being, like, this really, like, heartwarming message in this movie I didn't expect.
That was the moment where you didn't trap me because you kind of forgot, but like...
Even though you called me all kinds of names.
I did. Oh my God. That's when the movie becomes something else. And then it's like, okay, yeah, we have to solve it. So they go through dinosaur fights and some other things to resolve...
Yeah, there's a dinosaur chase scene to keep the kids interested.
To resolve the future. And then you go back to the... Well, first it's like...
Then you go back to the villain to stop him from doing the bad thing that causes the bad future.
Yeah, and they do, and that's all resolved. But then...
Is that supposed to connect to something?
No, that's nothing.
Okay.
But then they go back to the past, and it turns out that Nick from Jimmy Neutron...
Wilbur.
That's his name, yeah. It turns out that... like, they took him back to where the mom dropped him off as a baby. And I'm like, this is still a cute moment.
Okay, so this is after we fix the future. The main plot line is wrapped up. And they go to take, take Wilbur back to the future, they go to take Lewis back to the past. And Wilbur instead brings him to the point where where Lewis's mom dropped him off at the orphanage. Which is what Lewis said he'd wanted to do.
It's a predictable but a very sweet scene where he's like, you know what? My motto in the future is keep moving forward. So we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
And he says, you know, I don't want to know. I'm gonna have a family. I know it's gonna work out. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And so he goes.
And then they go back to the gym.
He goes back to the gym. And at the point,
this is the point where John's mind absolutely erupted.
When I thought the movie had played its entire hand, I keep getting wild draw 4 after wild draw 4. Because it turns out, and I can't even keep them all straight. They need a volunteer, right? And the crazy patch lady is like...
Yeah, the scientist judge.
The throwaway, pumped up character from the beginning that doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that you think she's there, she'll say, oh yeah, haha, it's funny, adults have a lot of coffee.
And I've learned to raise my guard every time somebody says, you know, what time do you want to go to? Oh, and then they punch it in. And you can see, like, grainy reflector footage looking into the past of
the scientist lady.
Of the scientist lady on the day she got married, and I can sense some shit is up. I'm like, movie, don't do this to me. Movie, don't fucking do this to me. And it's the fucking grandma.
It ends up being the grandma that Lewis met in the future.
The people that eventually adopt him.
Yeah. The people who are his quote-unquote parents.
That's, like, and his wife is the frog chick.
Yeah, his wife is the crazy frog chick.
Who says... That
was alluded to at the beginning.
She makes these, like, singing frogs that aren't really that funny, but it's cute. And then they go to this place, and in the future they say, hey, here's a lab for all your experiments, and it's cute and crazy. And then we keep moving forward. There's a line about following your dreams. And I'm like, oh my God, they're going to tell me who quoted that. Be like, that quote, Albert Einstein.
Yeah, or like some major, like it's a really cool quote. And editor Johnny, if you don't mind,
yeah,
throw that quote on the screen as we're talking about it. It's a really solid quote, and you can see parts of it has been used throughout the movie, especially that keep moving forward. And beautiful timing by the directors here. Uh-huh. They leave it on the screen for a little while, and then they show you who the quote is by.
And I lose my fucking mind because it's Walt Disney, by the way, if you're listening to this in the background.
Yeah, that quote is by Walt Disney.
And so I can't even. This movie feels like the most shallow, safe, kid-friendly movie, and it's tough to market because on the surface it really is. Every character design, every pumped up joke, every dinosaur with a large head and little arms tells you this is that safe kids movie, and for a lot of it is.
And honestly, it's for a good solid like 40 minutes. I won't say hard to watch. It's very like it is very, very good at luring the audience into saying, "Oh, I know exactly what this is," and then it's not.
And then it bends you over. Like
Very 1984-y.
Definitely. I'm gonna. You're gonna get frustrated. Go try this. It's on Netflix right now.
Yes, it's on Netflix. Go watch it. Do us a solid, guys. Watch it to the end.
And my
Just
wife looked at me and says, I know what you're feeling. Just promise me you'll watch it to the end.
Because I could tell John was at the point where he was just going to like roll his eyes and then he was going to start cracking jokes like we do at terrible Netflix movies about how poorly this movie is made. I was like, I understand what you're feeling. Just let it play.
So that's tough. It's a cabin in the woods. It's difficult to sell this.
Yeah. The only thing I wish they had not done.
Okay, number
1, for all you fans of time traveler movies, this movie throws all the paradoxes, all the explanations of how time travel works completely out the window.
They're going to get a ton of shit wrong, and you have to not let it get to you.
Yeah, you have to abandon trying to rationalize in your brain how time travel works, because they completely ignore it and expect you to.
Something you wish they hadn't done.
Something I wish they hadn't done was that scene with older Lewis and tiny Lewis in like his office, in his big future office.
Room, yeah.
He sounds like every hackneyed, boring adult telling you that you're special and you should follow your dreams.
That was
It's really gross. It doesn't need to be there. Lewis has plenty of inspiration at this point.
Did they make insulin up there? Because that gave me diabetes.
But like Lewis has plenty of inspiration at this point to go back and to not look at the past and to keep keep trying even though you fail constantly. He already had that. You did not need to include it, unless like that guy is voiced by one of like Walt Disney's kids or something.
I don't know, but it's the passing comments before I close. The art style, the color palette is just bright colors wherever.
You do get used to it after a little while, but yeah.
I noticed that especially in the final scene with all the gadgets and gizmos.
Yeah, at the beginning it's a little hard to watch.
It's tough. The art direction, we said earlier, it's kind of ugly. That's whatever. Adam West, God rest your soul. Thanks for lending the role. I know you didn't do this movie with the intention of dying a decade later, but thank you in the future for what you've done.
Yes.
God, I don't have anything else to say.
I'm trying to think of there's like weird standalone scenes that stand out, like Lewis and the old guy and the dinosaur chase scene, and you notice this entire time we didn't talk about the hat.
It doesn't matter. The point is the main villain, if you will.
Yeah. It's one of those twist villains where it's like, oh, the actual human villain is not such a bad guy. What's really evil is the evil of the evil because it's evil.
It is a hat that has been following around Bowler Hat Man the entire time, which is actually a failed invention of the dad, Mr. Robinson.
Future Lewis.
Yeah. And it fucked up, and then he teams up with the bad guy to come up with the world. But it goes whole Space Odyssey on you and becomes sentient. And
it gets the stuff with the hat gets a little fat. The jokes usually don't land. So this is not a funny movie, except for the family scene. Which I think is hilarious, and I love it.
The family scene, I hated that.
I think it's so much fun.
I hated that so much.
I think it's cute.
Thanks.
Personally. But yeah, this is not a funny movie. It will surprise you. It will take you off guard. So if you haven't seen it in a while, definitely go back and watch it.
We didn't sell that very good.
What?
It's tough to sell.
What? I think it's a good movie. It's really charming. It has a lot of heart. It takes you by surprise, which so few kids movies feel the need to do anymore. As John was complaining about. Again, John was watching this movie and absolutely was convinced of the movie he was going to get.
Yeah.
And then it shot him in the face.
I need bandages.